During a recent conversation I had with Kathy Roedel, she made a shocking confession. She told me she feels she's truly a nerd at heart. Wow. Initially, I was surprised at this revelation because, I graduated from two schools that had an Institute of Technology, so I feel like I'm pretty well qualified as a nerd. And not only that, my nerd radar is pretty finely tuned, so how did I not pick this up? So Kathy, as you might know, she has an engineering degree, and she once competitively played the flute in a marching band, so that might have been a hint. But then she told me that her favorite classes in high school were trigonometry and physics. So then finally I knew she probably was one of us. The more I thought about it, I really should not have been surprised. Because if you look at Kathy, her extraordinary success has come in unconventional and sometimes unexpected ways. If you know her career, you recognize she is a woman that had the courage to earn a mechanical engineering degree at a time when not many women went down that path. She had the courage and aptitude to rise rapidly through the ranks at General Electric, which is a tough, male-dominated, sink-or-swim culture. She had the courage to once again make another change into a little-known retailer at that time that was called Sleep Number. And then she had the courage and ability to make a success in a very challenging retail environment. And today, I feel fortunate that Kathy Roedel brings her inspirational leadership and diversity of thinking to our board at Columbus McKinnon. Well, Columbus McKinnon is a publicly traded manufacturer of cranes and hoists, but we were founded just at the end of the Civil War. And we outfitted wagon trains heading west. And at one time, we were the largest saddlery company in the world. Well, we don't make saddlery equipment anymore. And needless to say, times have changed significantly. But if you've ever been to a rock concert and you see speakers hanging up over the crowd and lighting over the artists, well, that's our equipment at work. We like to say that we make shows like Bruno Mars and Taylor Swift happen. Well, it's not really true. It's just nerds like us trying to be cool for once. Well, one of the things that I value most on the Columbus McKinnon board is the fact that we have diverse opinions. Kathy's inspirational leadership, wisdom, and unique perspectives on strategy, serving customers, supply chain, and operations have made an indelible mark. I want to congratulate Kathy on her tremendous career success and for her courage to think and act in unconventional ways. Kathy has truly changed the path of our company. I could not imagine our board without her. Please welcome to the stage Kathy Roedel.
Good evening. And thank you, Mark, for that warm introduction and for admitting that you are also a nerd. The American poet Mary Oliver once asked this provocative question. She asked, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" When I wanted to answer that question, I worked with Mary Clone, co-founder of Navigate Forward and my board search coach extraordinaire. And Mary once asked me a similar question. She said to me, "Kathy, what is it you plan to do with this truly horrible board bio? This is awful." How many of you know Mary? Okay, you know what I'm talking about. Well, inspiration comes in many forms. And I've been thinking a lot about inspiration lately, about all the people in my life, in my career, who have inspired me, and the way they made me feel, and the way they helped me grow as a person. How many of you have had this experience where someone calls you up, perhaps years after a conversation you've had with them, and says to you, "That conversation with you changed my life." I bet many of you have. And you think about it and you think, I didn't think anything about that conversation. Maybe you don't even remember the conversation. So I've been trying to be much more intentional about bringing that sort of inspirational leadership into the boardroom, because I really want to help spark growth in the people who are driving the business. Like Barbara, I had some inspiration from my father when I was young. It was a little different though. I was 10 years old and my father called me into the basement and he said, "Kathy, I really hope you've got a plan to pay for your college education." I was 10. I said, "Dad, don't we have enough money to pay for my college?" He looked at me and he said, "I do, but you don't." That's inspiration. And you know, it was in his stoic way though. It was him believing in me to do something maybe I would never have imagined doing. So as it turns out, my dad would be happy to know I did pay for my college education and graduated debt-free. I'm also very inspired by my mom, who is also an unconventional woman. She is about Carol Burnett's age. I'm not saying numbers, but 2 years ago, she decided she would start taking piano lessons. She works out in a health club 3 days a week, more than me. She jumped on a tour all by herself and went off to Israel for, I don't know, 10 or 15 days. She is an ordained minister, and she was one of the first women to do that in her church. Recently, we went off to New York City, and I had to hustle to keep up with her. In my career, I've also been very inspired by people. And I think about when I was at GE Healthcare, I had a mentor. His name was Marco Onetto. He was kind of a charismatic Frenchman. He was traveling all the time. And no matter where he was and what time it could be 2 a.m. in India, he would always take my call, and he would always offer thoughtful advice and support, you know, helping me navigate some challenging situations. Later on, I was truly inspired by the chairman of the board of Sleep Number, Irv Shames, when he helped us navigate through those really dark days of the 08-09 recession. And many of you have some memories of that, I'm sure. What I'll never forget about Irv was his quiet persistence, but most importantly was his unfailing belief in us as a management team, and I think it was a big reason we were able to survive and end up thriving out of that situation. And finally, today, fast forward, you just met another inspirational leader, Mark Morelli. When Mark came to Columbus McKinnon in 2017, he encountered a business that was really languishing, and the management team just really didn't believe they could win. And Mark, I remember a board meeting where the board was giving Mark dispensation to make whatever changes he needed to. And Mark said to us, "You know, I don't know who on my leadership team is going to rise to the occasion, but I believe in them and I'm going to work with them." And Mark didn't just tell them what to do. He showed them, he taught them, he inspired them. And that team is succeeding today in ways they never could have imagined only a couple of years ago. So I've been inspired by people, and I'm bringing that with me, I hope, into the boardroom. And I'm truly grateful to Columbus McKinnon and Generac Holdings and the Jones family for giving me the opportunity to spend this part of my one wild and precious life with them, hopefully to serve and to inspire their people. So I'd like to just close this evening with some gratitude. First, to the Twin Cities Business Group for including me in this unbelievable group of distinguished directors. It's truly an honor for me. Thank you. And at my table, I'd like to thank my family and friends, my parents, Fred and Mary McClellan, who drove 12 hours all the way from Michigan to be here tonight, and they're leaving tomorrow morning. Unbelievable. My lovely daughter, Julia, is a senior at Blake. Her dad and my co-parent, Richard Roedel, is here tonight. Thank you. Mary Clone, my and many of your Chief Inspiration Officer. Mark, thank you again for flying all the way here to be with me. And finally, my Sleep Number colleague turned best friend, Wendy Schobert. Thank you for being here. Thank you all, and enjoy your evening.